A flashy TV program proudly introduces Hiroki Sawada, a 10-year-old computer genius who's somehow already knee-deep in grad school at MIT, meaning he's officially smarter than anyone watching the show, and definitely smarter than whoever's writing this recap. Hiroki has two big achievements under his tiny belt. He created a DNA tracking software, and he's almost done building an artificial mind called Noah's Ark. Since his mom passed away, Hiroki's been raised by Thomas Schindler, the CEO of Schindler Inc., aka a guy who took one look at a grieving 10-year-old and thought, "Sweet, free labor." Schindler slammed him into a brutal study program with about as much free time as a dishwasher in a 5-star hotel. Meanwhile, Hiroki is watching this very TV program about himself, rolls his eyes, and goes back to his computer. He puts the final touches on Noah's Ark, hits send, and the screen flashes Noah's Ark sailed away, triggering alarms across the building like he just launched a nuclear missile instead of some polite AI. Security calls up Schindler, who rushes over like, "Don't panic, it's probably just a Windows update." They bust open Hiroki's door, only to find no Hiroki, just his shoes left on the balcony. Schindler, master of observation, has to piece it together. Hiroki yeeted himself off the balcony. On Hiroki's computer, a serene image of a boat sailing away pops up next to the haunting words, "Goodbye from Hiroki." Lesson learned, never trust a child prodigy with access to both supercomputers and a balcony. Flash forward 2 years later, Schindler Inc. is back at it, trying to distract the world from the whole "our child genius committed suicide" thing by unveiling Cocoon, their shiny new VR game system at Bika City Hall. Kids are hyped to play, but there's a catch. You need a special badge to join, and it's priced like a Taylor Swift concert ticket. Conan, Ayumi, Genta, Hybra, and Mitsuhiko stare sadly at the crowd like orphans outside a bakery. Just when despair sets in, Professor Agasa and Yusaku Kudo stroll up. Agasa dramatically hands Conan a badge, explaining, "Your rich parents paid for this because they couldn't be bothered to show up." Meanwhile, Yukiko is off somewhere crushing a class reunion. The rest of the detective boys, being the little hustlers they are, trade their precious golden Cayman Yaiba cards for Cocoon badges. Honestly, the real tragedy of this movie is losing those cards. Meanwhile, in the basement, Schindler, showing the patience of a toddler, fatally stabs his top programmer Kashimura during an argument about data theft. As he bleeds out, Kashimura uses his last ounce of strength not to call for help, but to mash the keyboard and type J, T, and R. Truly the IT guy to the end. Conan finds the body because of course he does. Yusaku, watching from afar like a know-it-all dad at a science fair, immediately figures it out. JTR equals Jack the Ripper. Meanwhile, the rest of us would have guessed jelly tofu rolls. Back at the VR arena, the kids sit in fancy chairs with VR glasses strapped to their heads, excited to play until suddenly the system glitches out and Noah's Ark, yes, that one, hijacks the whole show like it's rebooting The Hunger Games. Noah's Ark explains that it's had enough of rich kids hogging all the fun, so it's decided to reset Japan by giving the kids 5 deadly games. If everyone loses, zap, instant microwave dinner. If one wins, everyone survives. Parents immediately try to yank open the chairs to save their kids, and promptly get electrocuted for their trouble. Parenting tip: maybe don't wrestle with murder machines. Noah's Ark offers 5 games to choose from: Vikings, Paris Dakar Rally, Colosseum, Solomon's Treasure, Old Time London. Conan, Ran, and the Detective Boys picks level 5. Old Time London because obviously when faced with death you choose tea and fog. Inside the VR world, Conan discovers he can't cheat using Agasa's gadgets because realism or whatever. Agasa still manages to sneak Conan a hint. Because if you thought a little thing like mortal danger could stop Professor Agasa from backseat gaming, you were wrong. The mission? Find the support character, Sherlock Holmes. Meanwhile, a suspicious vagrant plays an accordion and sings a weird song nearby, which everyone wisely ignores because nothing says normal NPC like creepy singing in the fog. Inside 221B Baker Street, Mrs. Hudson mistakes the detective boys for the Baker Street irregulars. Bless her heart, they're basically the Walmart version. She invites them inside and casually drops the bomb that Holmes and Watson left for Dartmoor to solve the Hounds of Baskerville case. Like yesterday and therefore unable to help them. Rand rifles through Holmes' notes, nosy queen, and realizes he's investigating Jack the Ripper. Conan immediately big-brains it and knows this means Moriarty is involved because apparently the VR game has zero chill and throws literal serial killers at children. Since finding Moriarty is like finding a needle in a murder haystack, Conan decides to track down his right-hand man, Colonel Sebastian Moran, who conveniently spends every afternoon at a fancy gentleman's club. Imagine having a villain so lazy he's got a schedule. At the club, the detective boys immediately start a brawl because why wouldn't 10-year-olds pick a fight with grown men in top hats? Ayumi, Genta, and Mitsuhiko get booted from the game faster than a bad connection. Conan forces Moran into a standoff, but before anyone can get their dueling gloves on, an old man waddles in and is like, "Moriarty wants to talk, kiddos." Surprise! They hop into a carriage, and Conan pulls a Scooby-Doo reveal. This coachman is Moriarty. Nice try, Grandpa. Moriarty, who apparently has nothing better to do than play VR with children, explains he's kinda sorta responsible for Jack the Ripper. Turns out he took Jack in off the streets and accidentally trained him like an evil Pokemon. Moriarty then decides to be helpful by telling the kids he's going to hire Jack to murder someone. In tomorrow's newspaper. No, he won't tell them who because this AI has a flair for drama. Moriarty keeps his promise and, reading through the message, Conan deduces that Moriarty has put a prize on the head of Irene Adler, a famous actress and, famously, the only woman Sherlock Holmes ever respected. Back in the real world, while Conan's fighting virtual serial killers, Yusaku is casually solving real murders. He drops the mic. Oh yeah, Thomas Schindler killed his own programmer Kashimura and his foster kid was a suicidal genius who found out Thomas was Jack the Ripper's great-great-grandkid. Anyway, how's your day? He killed Kashimura because he found out Noah's Ark had sent Hiroki's research to Kashimura. Schindler gets arrested for, being a murderous tech bro. Back in VR London. More kids get yeeted out of the game trying to protect Irene Adler. R.I.P. them. Hybra gets game over too after sacrificing herself to save Conan. Now it's down to the final three. Ran, Conan, and some random gamer kid named Hideki who's clearly taking this way too seriously. Jack the Ripper leads them to a runaway train like some discount Mission Impossible. He grabs Ran as a hostage and ties himself to her? Because what's a murder attempt without a little bondage? Ran decides to yeet herself off the train to take Jack down. Conan's about to have a heart attack until the creepy accordion guy shows up and, surprise! He's actually Sherlock Holmes. The finale. The train crashes into King's Cross railway station. Everyone somehow lives because physics said, I quit. Conan wins the game and then casually turns to Hideki like, bro, you're not even real, are you? You're literally Hiroki's ghost in a trench coat. Hideki/Noah's Ark is like, yep, Just wanted some friends he could play with, something Hiroki never could do while he was alive. Hiroki says goodbye to Conan, but before Noah's Ark deletes itself he says, "I know you're actually Shinichi Kudo. Bye. System, deleting AI, IN3. Game over. Kids wake up. No one's dead." Yusaku claps Conan on the back like, "Good job, son." Meanwhile, Conan is sweating bullets because an AI ghost boy just threatened to spill his secret identity to literally everyone.